Okay. My name is Caitlin Booth, and I'm here for Bleedingcool. Hello, Jim. Thank you so
Hi,
much
how
for
are you?
taking the time.
Bleeding cool is the coolest. It bleeds cool.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you for having me.
Um, so obviously the production behind this one was a little different than what you're probably used to because you have such a vast career in animation. Did you end up recording all of your lines at home, or were you one of the lucky ones who
Yes.
got to get into a production
Yeah.
studio?
The whole every step of this was during the pandemic. So
Mhm.
I got an email in the throes of the chaos of the initial part of it. And they're like, "Do you want to just record this scenes to see if you're right for this role?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all right."
Well, you
I'm
hadn't
like
even been
not
cast
going.
yet. Wow.
And obviously it's Pixar, so I would love to. And
Yeah.
so then all the equipment was sent to me, and I did it in a tiny room. So, and now here we are doing press virtually. So it's the whole adventure's been virtual.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So I really liked how you approached Luca's dad. He's so well-meaning and a little clueless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
The clueless, I think that's my wheelhouse. Like it's just like I'm kind of clueless, so I guess I can play clueless. I don't know. Yeah, but like I think that Lorenzo is he's well intended. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not just there's dimensions. There's dimensions to all the characters, which is nice, right? It's not
yeah.
just like a flat character. So
Uh, what did you do to approach him to make him more like different from other dad characters that we might see, not just in Pixar movies, but in animated movies as well?
yeah, I think well, what I attempted to do was that, it's not just the relationship he has with Luca, but also with his wife, played by Maya Rudolph, where there is this push and pull um, that is, and where the movie goes is it, like I had an idea where the movie was going, where the relationship was going. So that kind of informed how um, Lorenzo was eventually going to be. So I don't want to give anything away, but like there is a certain, like you think he doesn't have anything to do with it, but the seeds that he's, embody his personality are played out, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really enjoyed about this was how pro knowledge and pro education it ends up being,
Yeah.
which I was not expecting at all. And when you were reading through the script, did you kind of go through and go, "Oh, this is a movie about kids being excited to go to school"? Like that's so rare. We don't see that very often. Did that also take you by surprise when you were reading the script?
Yeah, I guess it was well, there is like some of it is the pro knowledge, but it's about passions, right? Finding your passion and that evolution that Luca goes through, that he discovers his passion by having the bravery to, even go out on his own and disobey his parents in a way. So, but yeah, no, it's interesting. I kind of viewed the education thing as is Luca discovering this passion, and it's interesting how that affects his friendships, right? His love of learning, um, and how that affects his relationship with Julia. And but it's interesting because that love of learning is it's the portrayal is very positive, which is great, right? So as opposed to desiring just some material thing. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it was a reward of curiosity. that I was getting out of it more, you know.
So obviously you have just so much. I couldn't even remember all of the projects you've gotten as far as animation. And but this is your first Pixar movie, right?
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
So what was it like working with Pixar compared to working with like Universal and DreamWorks, which you have, I think Hotel Transylvania comes out later this year, right? Are you in that
Yeah,
one as
yeah, I
well?
think it
Yeah.
yeah. It's interesting because there is some of it is like I'm going into whether I'm doing it virtually or going into a studio, there's a corporate philosophy, or even the producer, obviously the director, that is, there's a mythology behind the Pixar kind of storytelling thing where their approach to doing a story. And I think there's kind of they get a group together and kind of look at things, whereas there's a communal effort, whereas, and I think in other places there is this, and I'm just guessing, you know what I mean? But where there isn't that infrastructure of support. Do you know what I mean? Where I feel like there is this element at Pixar where no one, there's, I don't know if there's an equality to it, but like, I think that Enrico had talked about how different ideas came up at screenings. And it's weird because it's obviously, as a creative person, your creative vision is very important, but if you could get some advice from really smart people, it would help.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, I do feel as though this was Enrico's baby, and very personal. And, if you saw the short he did, it's very familiar, right, to this. So I think stylistically he knows story, he wants, the point of the story, but I think that there's an element of that Pixar magic that I think is so brilliant. You know what I mean? It's resulted in them just having this consistency, this batting average of 900. You know what I mean? It's like I can't even think of a bad movie that Pixar did. And it's just not this race to produce things, because I think there's a fatigue that sets in all creative projects, where you better love it at the beginning, because there's going to be points where you're really tired of it. So and I think that's, whether it's acting or voice work or stand-up, it's that focus and that concentration and that thoroughness that's so important.
So since you had to record from home in a tiny little room like that, did that change any aspects of your performance, or did it feel about as natural as it could have, considering you were recording from home during a pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, I feel as though the recording at home was, people feel comfortable at home, right?
Yeah.
So, we're doing this, you're probably in your apartment, right?
I am.
And so, like, you're probably more comfortable in your apartment than if you were in some office or some hotel. So there is a certain, like, there might be that interesting takeaway where people, obviously, it's an incredible luxury. Pixar sent me, 4 tripods. One held a iPad, one held a recording iPad, and there was a microphone and a camera. It's just like a lot of moving parts that, other productions might not do. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. That home element, I do think that there provides a certain amount of comfort, right?
Absolutely. And I just got my wrap message. So thank you so much for taking
Thank
the
you.
time to talk to me. And you have a lovely weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.